10 World War II backyard plants worth more than gold, why aren't you growing them? During World War II, gold wasn't actually the most valuable resource. Food, medicine, fiber, and fuel were way more crucial. Across Europe, America, and parts of Africa and Asia, ordinary households were encouraged, sometimes even ordered, to grow specific plants in their backyards just to survive shortages, blockades, and rationing. These weren't just random crops, they were strategic plants, used to make medicine, preserve food, replace rubber, disinfect wounds, dye uniforms, and even treat psychological trauma. Honestly, many of them still grow easily today, yet most folks have never even heard of them. Or, worse, they pull them out thinking they're just weeds. Here are 10 World War II backyard plants that were literally worth more than gold, and honestly, still are today. So, moringa, also known as the green gold tree, was actually used during World War II in tropical regions to combat malnutrition. The leaves provided protein, calcium, iron, and vitamins at a time when supply chains totally collapsed. Military doctors documented its ability to restore strength in weakened civilians and soldiers. These days, moringa is called a superfood, but back then, it was really a survival plant. Just one tree could feed an entire family. Comfrey, sometimes called the bone knitter, was used by World War II field medics who made poultices from it to treat wounds, burns, and even fractures when medical supplies ran out. It actually earned the nickname bone knit because of its almost uncanny ability to speed up tissue repair. Despite some modern warnings about its use, comfrey is still incredibly valuable externally, for things like salves, compresses, and emergency first aid. Dandelion, known as the war weed, wasn't just a weed at all. They were coffee, medicine, and even rubber. Back then, the roots were roasted as a coffee substitute, the leaves helped prevent scurvy, and the sap was researched as an alternative rubber source when rubber imports were totally cut off. Honestly, pulling this plant out today is kind of like throwing away a World War II survival kit. Yarrow, also known as the soldier's wound herb, was carried by soldiers long before the Second World War, but honestly, its use just exploded during that time. It stops bleeding fast, disinfects wounds, and reduces inflammation, making it a real lifesaver out on the battlefield. Even today, it's still one of the most powerful first aid plants you can grow. Stinging nettle, or as some called it, the uniform fiber and blood builder, was actually used to make cloth for uniforms when cotton was in short supply. Nutritionally, a simple cup of nettle tea helped treat anemia and fatigue among both factory workers and soldiers. It's honestly one of the most mineral-dense plants on Earth, and the best part is, it grows almost anywhere. Garlic, the famous natural antibiotic, really stepped in when penicillin was limited. Folks even called it Russian penicillin, and it was used to prevent infections in wounds and to treat respiratory illnesses. Back then, garlic wasn't just seasoning, it was straight-up medicine. So, chicory. It's not just a coffee replacement, but also a real lifeline during tough times. With coffee being rationed, chicory root honestly kept morale alive for so many people. And, it also helps support liver health, especially for folks surviving on poor diets. Just think about it, one plant, but two absolutely critical wartime benefits. Plantain, also known as the forgotten first aid plant, was honestly a real lifesaver back in the day. People would crush the leaves and apply them to cuts, insect bites, burns, and even infections. It actually grows between sidewalk cracks, and during the war, it was one of the most widely used civilian medicines. Today, though, most people just mow it down without a second thought. Calendula. That's the skin healer and antiseptic so many relied on. Folks used it to treat burns, rashes, trench foot, and infected wounds. Its petals were dried and stored, so you could use them all year round. And honestly, it's still one of the safest and most effective skin healing plants we know about. Flax. Wow, what a powerhouse. It provided linen, lamp oil, and those essential fatty acids when fats were being rationed. Nothing went to waste. Seeds, stalks, oil, and fiber, all of it was put to use. Just one plant, but, multiple survival functions. Pretty amazing, right? So, why aren't you growing these plants today? Well, honestly, it's because modern life made us forget resilience. World War II forced people to relearn what really mattered. Plants that heal, feed, clothe, and protect. These plants, they aren't trendy, they're not patented, and, hey, they don't need anyone's permission to grow. That's exactly why they're powerful.